Imagine a life where the pursuit of happiness isn't about indulgence, extravagance, or nonstop thrills. Imagine instead that true pleasure comes from simplicity, peace of mind, and freedom from fear. That's not a modern self-help mantra or a minimalist's dream. It's a philosophy from over 2,000 years ago. Epicurus, a name often misunderstood and misused, proposed a radically different vision of pleasure. And in a world overwhelmed with materialism and instant gratification, his ideas may be more relevant now than ever. Welcome to the unfolding journey, where we explore timeless philosophies, transformative ideas, and ancient wisdom for modern life. If you're curious about how the great minds of the past still speak powerfully to the present, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the world of Epicurus, the philosopher of pleasure, the sage of serenity, and we'll unpack what he really meant by the good life. You might be surprised, it's not about wine, women, and wealth, but something far more profound. When most people hear the term Epicurean, they think of gourmet food, lavish lifestyles, and indulgent pleasures. But the original philosophy of Epicurus couldn't be further from this interpretation. Epicurus, 341 to 270 BCE, founded a school of thought that placed pleasure at the center of a good life. However, the kind of pleasure he advocated was deeply misunderstood, both in his time and in ours. So what exactly did Epicurus mean by pleasure? And how is his version of hedonism so different from modern-day interpretations? Epicurus defined pleasure as the absence of pain in the body and trouble in the soul. His goal wasn't intense physical gratification, but a state of inner tranquility and contentment, known as ataraxia, a serene state of being untroubled by fear or anxiety. This sets his philosophy apart from what we might call crude hedonism, the idea that more consumption equals more happiness. For Epicurus, chasing extreme pleasures often led to more pain, addiction, dissatisfaction, dependence, or emotional turmoil. To achieve ataraxia, Epicurus emphasized simple pleasures like friendship, philosophical conversation, a life of moderation, appreciation of natural beauty, freedom from unnecessary desires. He even famously said, "If thou wilt make a man happy, add not unto his riches, but take away from his desires." In short, Epicurus believed that a simple bowl of lentils shared with friends could bring more lasting joy than a feast at a king's table, if it came with peace of mind. A cornerstone of Epicurean ethics is his classification of desires. He divides them into three categories: natural and necessary desires. These are basic needs: food, shelter, companionship, and safety. Fulfilling these leads to happiness. Natural but unnecessary desires. These include luxuries like gourmet meals or designer clothes. They can bring pleasure, but are not essential and may create dependency. Vain and empty desires, fame, wealth, power. These are artificial desires implanted by society. Chasing them often leads to anxiety, fear of loss, and ultimately dissatisfaction. Epicurus taught that the wise person learns to recognize and limit themselves to the first category. Why? Because once natural and necessary desires are met, anything more doesn't increase happiness, but often introduces new complications. Another powerful insight from Epicurus was his understanding of fear, particularly fear of death and fear of divine punishment, as the root of much human misery. He argued that fear disturbs our peace far more than physical pain does, and he offered a bold remedy: philosophical reasoning. To alleviate the fear of death, Epicurus proposed a disarmingly simple idea: death is nothing to us. Why? Because when we are alive, death is not present, and when death is present, we are not. In this sense, death should not be feared because it is not experienced. He also rejected the idea of divine wrath. Epicurus did not deny the gods, but he believed they were indifferent to human affairs. Therefore, divine punishment is nothing to worry about. This freed his followers from the paralyzing fear of divine judgment and afterlife suffering. To live well, Epicurus claimed we need friends, not followers, not admirers, but real friends. He famously said, "Of all the things which wisdom provides to make life entirely happy, much the greatest is the possession of friendship." Unlike the Stoics, who emphasized self-sufficiency, Epicurus believed that deep connections were essential to our well-being. His school, the Garden, was one of the first philosophical communities where men and women, free citizens and slaves, lived and learned together as equals. This sense of community, conversation, and shared experience was itself a source of joy. In modern terms, Epicurus was promoting emotional wealth over material wealth. a principle supported by modern psychology, which shows that strong relationships contribute far more to long-term happiness than income or possessions. So how does Epicurean pleasure differ from the hedonism of today? Modern hedonism often implies seeking thrills and highs, constant novelty and stimulation, escaping discomfort at all costs, living for the moment, regardless of consequences. By contrast, Epicurean hedonism means pursuing lasting peace and stability, preferring sustainable contentment over fleeting pleasure, accepting some discomfort if it leads to greater well-being, avoiding behaviors that cause long-term pain or anxiety. Take, for example, social media. A modern hedonist might chase likes, attention, and dopamine hits. An Epicurean would likely see this as a vain desire, one that distracts from genuine connection, creates anxiety, and disrupts tranquility. In essence, Epicureanism isn't about rejecting pleasure, but redefining it. It teaches us to enjoy what we need and to free ourselves from what we merely want. In our hyper-consumerist, attention-driven culture, Epicurus offers a countercultural message. He challenges us to look inward rather than outward, to seek depth instead of excess, and to live modestly instead of endlessly striving. Mental health challenges, burnout, social isolation, and anxiety are increasingly common. In response, Epicureanism proposes a timeless antidote. Simplify your desires. Surround yourself with genuine friends. Engage in thoughtful reflection. Free yourself from irrational fears. Appreciate simple, everyday joys. Epicurus doesn't offer easy pleasures. He offers meaningful ones. Of course, not everyone agreed with Epicurus, even in his own time. The Stoics, for instance, criticized him for making pleasure the foundation of ethics. They argued that virtue, not pleasure, was the true goal of life. Christian theologians later labeled Epicureanism as atheistic and immoral, leading to centuries of distortion. This is partly why Epicurean became synonymous with indulgence and luxury, even though the real Epicurus lived on bread, water, and philosophical discussion. Despite these misunderstandings, the core of Epicurean philosophy endures, especially in today's reevaluation of what it means to live well. So what can we learn from Epicurus today? Perhaps it's this: the good life isn't about having everything, it's about needing less. It's not about avoiding all pain, but understanding which pains are worth enduring for a greater peace. It's not about constant excitement, but sustained serenity. Epicurus doesn't ask us to give up pleasure, but to become wiser in how we seek it. In a world obsessed with more, he invites us to embrace enough. If you found value in today's journey into the mind of Epicurus, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of The Unfolding Journey. We dive deep into philosophy, history, and life's biggest questions. And there's so much more to explore. Until next time, may your life be full of thoughtful pleasures and peaceful moments. Keep questioning, keep reflecting, and keep unfolding.